Hey, hey, hey. Time for another Out of This World story from rSpace. Today on rSpace, we take a scenic tour through the cheater's mind. A place filled with detours, broken logic signs, and the occasional pit stop at I was lonely. Don't worry, it's nothing we haven't heard before. I cheated on my husband of 12 years. Now he's rich and successful, dating another woman while I'm drowning. I know I'll get a lot of hate for sharing what I've done. Regardless, I'm going to confess because nothing worse can happen to me than seeing the love of my life despise me. I, 39 female, was married to my ex-husband, Dan, 43 male, for 12 years. He was my soulmate, my partner, and father of my 2 kids, now 9 male and 6 female. We got married young, right out of college. Dan has been the most loving and caring husband and father. Never disrespected me, never raised his voice at me or the kids. We were a perfect family. We both worked. He was a service engineer. I was in marketing. When I got pregnant with my daughter, everything started to shift. Managing a toddler with pregnancy while juggling a full-time job was difficult. I was exhausted all the time. To make it worse, Dan co-founded a startup with his friend alongside his full-time job. Means he could barely contribute to household chores or childcare. So I quit. We decided I would take care of the house and the kids and he would manage the finances. It was a massive relief. I got to be home with my babies and lead a slow, peaceful life. I told myself I was lucky to have that freedom, to not have to worry about bills, to not work myself to the bone. Soon, the peace turned into insecurity and I started feeling worthless. I began to feel lonely in my marriage. Dan was working more than ever by then. He spent his evenings building his startup. He'd come home after dinner, kiss the kids goodnight, grab his laptop, and start working again. On weekends, he was either at their startup office or on calls. If I complained, he would say he was doing this for us, for the kids. He came from a humble background where he had to work to the bone to complete his education. He wanted to build wealth for our kids. Yes, he gave us everything. We moved into a bigger house. The kids went to a private school. We took vacations, bought a new SUV. Financially, we were doing great, but emotionally, I was starving. I wanted his attention, his time, not his money, not his promises of a better future, just him. Like the old times, when we lounged on the couch for the whole weekend and did nothing, just talked, watched movies, and ordered pizza. He promised to have our former life back once his business scaled and he leaves his job. However, that seemed to be a far-fetched dream for me. I wanted that life today. I was getting impatient and lonely. Every time I tried to talk about it, it turned into an argument. He would say, "Don't you want a better life for the kids?" And "I'm right here, aren't I?" He tried. Whenever he was with me, he tried to be truly present, listening attentively, loved me unconditionally, but that time with him was limited. I started to feel invisible. A year went by like this, and one day I was having coffee near this park where I went for a walk. A guy in his late 20s approached me and asked if I ever got bored ordering the same coffee every day. He was Eric, a PhD student at the nearby university. He was a regular at the cafe, working on his project. He noticed me and that I was there almost every day, sitting by the window, sipping my latte. We started chatting over coffee. Soon it became a ritual to have coffee with him. I didn't inform Dan about it, thinking it wasn't a big deal. Deep down, I knew why I didn't. I looked forward to meeting with him, started dressing up nicely. He complimented me, listened to me, gave me attention which I was craving recently. He remembered every small thing I said. I felt seen as an individual, not someone's wife or mother. About a month later, he invited me over to his apartment to help him taste test a new pasta recipe. I laughed it off, but went anyway. He lived in a tiny studio apartment, cramped with stuff, with the jazz music playing, and I swear, I felt 20 again. We ate, laughed, and drank wine. And when I turned to put my glass down, he kissed me. The moment it happened, guilt flooded me, hot, immediate. I pulled away and said, "I can't, I'm married." He nodded. "I know, I'm sorry." But I didn't leave right away. My biggest mistake. We sat in silence for a few minutes, both pretending to look at the floor, and then I said the stupidest thing I've ever said in my life. It's not like my husband would ever notice. And that was the beginning of the end. I cheated on my husband. I kept seeing him, promising myself that it was the last time, was filled with guilt every time it happened, even told him I won't meet again. Within a few days, the desire crept in and I would find myself at his place. Eventually, I convinced myself that I deserved this small moment of happiness. If I'm not getting something from my marriage, I'm allowed to seek outside. It's not that I wasn't getting sex from my husband. I wanted attention and time, which Eric was giving me, and in return, he wanted me. Fair deal, I thought. For months, I led a dual life. At home, I played the perfect wife, made dinner, packed lunches, did everything for my family. Dan would come home late, exhausted, kiss me, and thank me for holding the fort. I stopped fighting with him. He was grateful to me for finally understanding him. I got overconfident, started calling Eric to the house because his place was messy. After dropping off my son at school and putting my daughter for a nap, I would spend an hour with Eric, filling the void of my marriage. It was fun until one afternoon when I was exploring with Eric, I heard footsteps approaching from the back door. Before I or Eric could react, I saw Dan standing frozen in the hallway. Eric was on top of me. I pushed him away, put on a robe, and rushed to Dan, but he started walking out without saying a word. I ran after him, barefoot with half the open robe. He didn't even look at me, got in the car and drove off. I called him all day. It went straight to voicemail. I didn't even notice when Eric left the house. I didn't even bother to contact him. My marriage was failing. My husband became my priority. He didn't come home that night. I called his business partner. He said Dan was sleeping in their startup office. I sent him hundreds of texts, pleading to talk to me. Heard none from him. I thought he'd cool off, thinking he was just angry, that after a day or two he'd miss me. He didn't. 2 days later, he came home. I ran to him, tried to hug him, but he brushed past me, heading straight to the kids' rooms. Talked to them like everything was normal. My heart broke at how gentle he was. How could I betray him? I was dying of guilt, wishing I could undo everything. When he came to our bedroom, I closed the door and cried and begged him for forgiveness, trying every possible way to justify my action. I knew what I did was evil. I was ready to do everything to fix it, but he wasn't listening. His silence was killing me. I wished he screamed and yelled, but he showed no emotion at all. He just looked at me with cold eyes and said, "I've already spoken to my lawyer. You'll get the papers soon." I freaked out. I didn't want a divorce. I begged him to change his mind, that all this meant nothing to me and that I deserved a chance. He didn't say a word, just packed his essentials in a bag. I tried everything to stop him. He didn't. While leaving, he just said, "You can stay in this house until the kids are here. We'll have joint custody." That's it. He had already planned out everything, asked me to bring our son to the therapist, where we would break the news to him. I pushed back, begging him to change his mind, but he didn't budge. Said if I didn't go, he would take him alone. I had to agree. The next evening, he picked us up and drove to the family therapy. I wanted to sink through the floor. Dan was calm and collected while I was breaking down every few minutes. It was my guilt, knowing that I ruined everything. Ripped off my kids' childhood, their sense of family. He told our son that Mommy and Daddy loved them both very much, but that we needed some space right now. That we'd still be a family, just not in the same house. Our boy cried, saying he wanted both of us to live together as a family. He was barely 5 then. Still asked if we were still married. Without hesitation, Dan replied, "Not anymore. Buddy, despite whatever happens between us adults, you and your sister would be our priority. We'll love you and we'll be your parents first before anything else." The therapist took the boy to talk in private. I held Dan's hand and begged for the last time to reconsider his decision. For the first time in all these days, I saw emotions on his face. With teary eyes, he said, "Please don't make this harder than it already is." I wanted to hug him and make things right. His words gave me hope that he would forgive me. I kept thinking he'd change his mind, that once his anger wore off, he'll come back to me. He didn't. He moved on. When the official papers arrived from his lawyer, it felt like the world just stopped. I called him in panic. He didn't answer. Texted him, "Please, can we talk? Please don't do this. Please come home." Nothing. Just silence. He showed up 2 days later to pick up the kids, and I tried again. I blocked the door like an idiot and begged him to talk. I cried that I made a mistake, but you can't just throw away 12 years. I'll do anything to fix this. His silence scared me more than if he'd yelled. I said, "You're divorcing me for revenge." I held his arms and asked him to look at me. He said, "I can't look at you without remembering that moment." That sentence broke me. I wanted to collapse right there. He didn't hate me. That somehow made it worse. Because hate would have meant there was still emotion. What he felt was emptiness. I realized I could never have him back. I gave up. Signed all the papers he asked me to. The next few months were torture. The house felt haunted. Every corner reminded me of him. Soon friends and family got the news of the divorce. Did and didn't hide the reason, making it worse. No one said anything to my face, but I knew people were talking behind my back, calling me stupid for trading off my marriage and security for something so silly. I was no longer invited to the high-end parties his friends and colleagues hosted. The only people who remained cordial with me were his parents, and that too, for the sake of the kids. They insisted Dan continue his fatherly duties despite our divorce, and he did. He visited twice or thrice a week, took the kids out for playdates or ice cream. He was always cheerful with them and polite with me, but he never looked me in the eye for more than a second. Our texts were cold and logistical. What time is pickup? Can you send son's backpack? Baby got a fever. Every time my phone buzzed with his name, my heart jumped, hoping for something more. I called him once just to hear his voice. He answered, "What's wrong? Are the kids okay?" I said softly, "They're fine. I just miss you." He didn't say anything, just hung up. His silence was painful, more than screaming would have been. In the mediation meeting, Dan came in composed while I kept fidgeting with my ring, tears threatening every second. When the mediator asked about property and custody, he spoke first with conviction. "She'll keep the house until the younger one moves out. I'll take care of the mortgage, property taxes, and also the children, their schooling and all the other expenses. We'll have 50-50 custody." The mediator asked me, "Do you agree?" I had to. The lawyer said we can fight for maintenance and at least for the house for security since I left my job to take care of everyone. I knew I would have lost. Dan and his lawyer were sharp. He would have gathered enough evidence to rip me apart if I took that lane. So I agreed. I got 3 months maintenance and a house for the decade, meaning I had 3 months to put my life together and 10 years to build my security. That night, after the kids went to bed, I took off my wedding ring. It left a pale band on my finger, like a scar, yet I still had hope. I'd tried to start small talk, but he never gave me one. "How's work?" "Busy." "Are you eating okay?" "Yeah." That was it. No anger, just quiet indifference. The kids adored him. He made every moment special for them. Park trips, pizza nights, weekend hikes. I'd watch from the window when he dropped them off, then he'd glance at me briefly, nod once, and drive off. It killed me. That perfect, civil tone that said, "You no longer have the right to touch any part of my life." At least if he'd screamed, I could have matched it with guilt. It's been 3 years since then, and not a single day goes by that I don't wake up wishing I could undo everything. I took up a part-time job as a back office executive, trying to keep myself occupied. My life was empty. Eric never called after that day. In fact, he blocked me. I never went back to that coffee shop again. Once, maybe a year later, I ran into him at the grocery store. Our eyes met for half a second and he looked right through me, like a stranger. I realized how meaningless I'd been to him. I'd blown up my whole life for something so superficial. Meanwhile, Dan's life went up from there. His startup took off. Within 2 years, he quit his job to run it full-time. He worked insane hours in those early months after the divorce. It paid off. Now his company's doing great. He's even been invited to speak at conferences, and my kids are so proud of him. Last year, he bought a new house, a huge one with a backyard, pool, and a big garden. The kids love it. Every time they come back from staying there, they can't stop talking about it. "Mom, Dad's pool lights up at night. Mom, there's a movie room in the basement. Mom, Susan got us a puppy." That last part is what breaks me the most. Yeah, he has got a girlfriend. She's his legal consultant for the company and about 10 years younger than him. The kids had been mentioning her for months before I met her. At first, I told myself not to overthink it. I mean, of course, he'd date again someday. He's handsome, successful, stable, and he's always had this calm, dependable energy that women notice. Still, hearing her name come out of my kids' mouths made my stomach twist every time. "Dad and Susan took us to the aquarium. Dad made pancakes with Susan this morning. Mom, Susan says I have your eyes." I'd just smile and nod, pretending it didn't sting. The final blow came when I actually saw them together. It was after our son's PTC. Dan and I had both gone. We were still good about co-parenting, keeping things civil. The meeting went fine. We walked out together, talking about scheduling for the next school break. I was actually feeling okay. Then, suddenly, his face lit up with a gorgeous smile. I swear I didn't see that smile on him after our divorce. I lit up too, thinking it was for me, or he was about to say something nice to me. But then he waved at someone across the road. When I looked at that side, I saw her, pulling up in a shiny white Tesla with sunglasses on, hair pulled back in a perfect low ponytail like a corporate girly. He turned towards me, and with a straight face, "I'll come on Saturday to pick up the kids. Gotta go now." Felt as if he had a switch on his face. Whenever he looked at me, it was with a cold expression. Even before I could respond, he started crossing the road, went and hugged her, kissed her on her cheeks. They both waved at the kids and drove off. He didn't even introduce me, as if I was no one. I stood there watching them drive away. All I could think was, that used to be me. The way he looked at her with delight and pride. When I got home, I felt a rush of pain that came from nowhere and everywhere. I cried until I couldn't breathe. It's so hard to realize that no amount of tears, guilt, or prayers can roll back time. I traded something sacred for something so trivial, and now I'm the one standing outside of the life I built, watching him give someone else the love that was once mine. Update 1. I know I'll get a lot of hatred like I got in the last one. When I despise myself, outside hate doesn't matter. Few of you at least understood the humane part of me that screws up sometimes. Thank you for that. This is not an update, but a way the rest of my life is going to be. Every family event has turned into slow torture. After that parent-teacher meeting, next it was my daughter's dance recital. When I reached, I saw them already sitting at the front, laughing and whispering. When he looked back and saw me, he just waved with a shallow smile. When the kids came on stage, they both jumped up, cheering, clapping like the proudest parents in the world. I stood a few rows back, alone, recording on my phone. After it was done, I was waiting at the exit to pick up my daughter. They arrived, hand in hand. This time, he introduced her as Susan, my girlfriend, with pride and confidence. And for me, he said, Laura, my kid's mother. That's all I was for him, not even ex-wife. We both smiled at each other. It was awkward. Luckily, within minutes, my daughter came out and she ran to hug her dad. Afterward, she wrapped her arms around Susan too and squealed, "You came!" She smiled and said, "Of course, sweetie. We wouldn't miss it." I had to turn away for a second to keep myself from falling apart in front of everyone. Last week at Thanksgiving, his parents invited me as usual. Yeah, they still include me at family events. They're sweet people, and maybe they want to keep me included for the kids' sake. Even after the divorce, I show up for some of the time whenever they invite. This year I didn't want to go, anticipating them, but I thought how long I'm going to avoid it. I'll have to face it sooner or later, and maybe seeing them together would give me the push to move on with my life. When I got there, Susan was already in the kitchen helping his mom with the turkey. She was wearing my old apron, which I used to wear every Thanksgiving for 12 years. Dan's mom was beaming. "She's such a help. You wouldn't believe how organized she is." I smiled, said she looked great, and went to set the table, but my hands were shaking so bad I dropped a fork. During dinner, everyone was laughing, talking. Susan fit right in, telling jokes, topping off everyone's wine glasses, leaning her head on Dan's shoulder when he said something funny. His dad even toasted to new beginnings. I excused myself halfway through dessert, went outside, and cried behind the garage like a teenager. They look so happy together. He's still polite with me like always, but there's a distance. He's made peace with everything and moved on while I'm still stuck in it. I can tell he's in love again. I can see it in the small things. The way he talks about her without even realizing it. The calmness in his face when she's around. It kills me because I once had that. I try to be happy for him. I really do. He deserves love. Sometimes I wonder if I'd told him how lonely I was instead of finding comfort in someone else. If I'd gone to therapy, if I'd been patient, maybe we'd still be together. Now he's got a new house, a new woman, a whole new life, and I'm here, curled up in my guilt. I have to work hard to pay my bills and save for my future, knowing that in a few years, I would be homeless. I don't even have the confidence to go out on a date anymore. I feel terrible, as if I am cheating again. I still love him. God, I still love him so much it hurts. But he doesn't look at me that way anymore. He looks at her, and that's my punishment to watch him love someone else the way he used to love me. I know I did that to myself. Dan isn't punishing you by living a better life with someone healthier and more stable. He's doing what people do when they've been hurt beyond repair. He put his energy into someone who hasn't betrayed him. If you want to heal from this, you have to stop framing yourself as someone who made a mistake and acknowledge that you blew your family apart with a series of choices you kept making until you were caught. There's no way forward until you own that fully. Face it, you messed up. What do you think? Do cheaters actually believe their own excuses, or are they just hoping we're as confused as they are? Thank you for joining us today on rSpace. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. Until next time.